This video is dedicated to James Humphreys. James, thank you.
Verrak versus the Gitrog monster. Haven't seen that in a while. Don't have too many colours there. Oh, actually, yeah, we've got Prismatic Vista, so yeah, we stand to empty our hand quite quickly, but we'll keep that one. It is Snowfield Sinkhole first, and then we can maybe play out the Phyrexian Reclamation next turn. Build our way up to Solemn Simulacrum. I want to hold on to the Prismatic Vista for as long as possible so we can ramp with the Verrak. And speaking of ramp, our opponent gets out Sky Shroud Ranger. Okay, getting 2 Verdant Catacombs, which equates to more ramp for us, so we'll play Strip Mine and the Phyrexian Reclamation. Sol Ring from our opponent, so we're going to see a pretty quick Gitrog monster, I imagine. They don't have black mana yet, but yeah, not revealing it there either. A Reliquary Tower, a Tiller Engine as well, so 3 cards in hand and haven't fixed their colours yet. We draw a Bloodghast, so it's Ancient Tomb into Solemn Simulacrum and we'll fix our colours. Seeing a Field of the Dead and a Temple of the False God, so still no black mana, but I mean they've nearly got their Field of the Dead online, and that takes them into an Animus Awakening, 1 card in hand, but yeah, getting a hell of a lot of things going here. They can untap all these lands with the Tiller Engine, and it is 4 zombie tokens from field. Alright, so I think we have to use the Strip Mine this turn because Field of the Dead has already done enough damage. We'll go for the Verrak. Have to take some life to the Ancient Tomb again. Then we'll play the Verdant Catacombs, can get a couple of jewels out here. Verrak doubling up the triggers from fetches, of course. Shocking a Godless Shrine as well. We've got 1 mana floating. Let's crack that and go after the Field of the Dead. And then we'll lose some more life going Signing Blood onto ourselves. Gets us into an Entomb and a Kambal. Yeah, not sure what we're entombing for here, but we'll see what we draw into next turn. Likely see our opponent's commander here. They do play out a Strip Mine. They've got black mana from the command tower, so the Gitrog monster coming into play. And then they go for Strip Mine onto the Ancient Tomb, putting us down by a couple of mana. Luckily we've got that Prismatic Vista available to us still. Then a Scheming Symmetry, allowing us to tutor something up here. So with the cards that we've got in hand, I think it would have to be a Skull Clamp here. Don't think there's any way of us messing up our opponent's tutor. They activated the ability of Seagate Wreckage there, so could draw the card that they tutored him for. Let's block with the Solemn Simulacrum, and that way we get to draw into what we tutor for as well. Alright, drawing into a Plains, so we will play the Bloodghast, drop the Prismatic. I should have waited on playing the Prismatic Vista there actually. We'll play the Skull Clamp as well. Clamp onto Bloodghast, draws us 2 cards of course. Into Sun Titan, crack the Prismatic Vista, pay another life into that. And we've got plenty of basics left. The first one can be a Plains, which will trigger the Bloodghast. We can't equip up the Skull Clamp in between, unfortunately. And we'll go for a Swamp as well. So then it's Skull Clamp onto the Bloodghast again. Alright, and just drawing into a Trading Post, which can make plenty of chump blockers for us at least. I was hoping to get into a Swords or Path there, hence the reason I held up the white mana. Alright, might as well attack in here because I'm not going to be blocking. Gain a bit of life, go up to 25. Our opponent sacrifices the Reliquary Tower, and they're at 3 cards in hand. Scavenger Grounds into play, followed by Crucible of Worlds, as I half expected. I was assuming that they were going to go for Crucible of Worlds because they've got Strip Mine and Field of the Dead. They've already played a land, they go for Strip Mine. Yeah, I was kind of contemplating going for Anguished Unmaking to blow that up, but I wasn't confident in what they were going to tutor for. Of course, they've managed to get into a Sylvan Library, maybe that's what they tutored for. Empty-handed again. So now activating the Seagate Wreckage once more. And there we see a Rites of Flourishing, so they can play another land. That is a Field of the Dead, so getting more zombies. And they attack him for a bunch of damage. 6 from the zombies, 6 from their commander. And we're down to 13, unfortunately. Do manage to get into a fetch here, though. Rites of Flourishing draws us another card. And that is an Urborg, which yeah, could potentially help them out, actually, so maybe hold off on that. Play Windswept Heath. Gets us into the Bloodghast again. And we will clamp on that straight away. Alright, Dance of the Dead and Greed. So Dance of the Dead, we could entomb something into the bin. Let's crack the Windswept Heath first. Make sure to put more life into that. And then we can make a couple of lands from one fetch. We've only got 2 plains left. How many swamps do we have? 4 swamps left is worth knowing about. Bloodghast back into play from those, of course. So Skullclamp back on there again, see what we can draw into. That is Authority of the Consuls, which will potentially be good against the Field of the Dead. So let's just throw a plains into play. Have an additional land because of their enchantment, of course. Bloodghast back into play once more. Skullclamp it yet again. Okay, and Animate Dead, so we're definitely going for a reanimation thing here. Let's go Entomb, put something in the bin. That can be a Cryptghast here, I think. We can reanimate that for some double black mana. And then Cabal into play. Not going to extort my opponent because I'm going to put the Clamp onto something here. Put it on our commander and I'll swing in so that we can gain some life and not have the zombies be as much of a threat to us. Our opponent sacks the Scavenger Grounds this time. Going straight through to combat first, so we'll just block like that. And that'll be 12 damage onto us. Then it's Sylvan Scrying. We do get bumped up to 4 there thanks to the Cabal. And in comes the Fun Police. Tabernacle, all creatures we have to pay 1 for. Strip mining our Godless Shrine. And then replaying the Strip Mine and getting rid of our Scrubland this time. Now playing an Explore, so they draw and can make another land. And yep, just going for the Strip Mine stuff. Trying to get rid of all our black mana, which is, yeah, why I held on to the Urborg. Had a feeling that they'd do something like that. Now Hour of Promise. Cabal doing a bit of work for us here. And they've managed to get themselves into a Glacial Chasm. And I think they went after the Yavimaya there. Sacrificing a basic forest to the Glacial Chasm. Blast Zone still with only 1 counter on it over here. Now a Mana Bond. At the beginning of your end step you may reveal your hand and all lands onto the battlefield there. But they'll have to discard the rest of the cards. So Mana Bond triggering at the end of the turn. And they reveal to us a Boseiju. And then are going to discard Abundant Harvest, Demonic Tutor. Oh, there's a Path of Ancestry will come into play as well. Sakura Tribe Scout and Dark Ritual going to get discarded if they decide this. And they did decide to put their hand down to 0. So Field of the Dead triggers a bunch, as does Tiller Engine. Now we've got double black mana, thankfully. So at Dance of the Dead, not going to bother untapping. Never was planning on blocking with this thing, hence the reason I brought it in tapped with the Dance of the Dead. I will certainly pay 3 to keep all these creatures in play though. And then we see a Soul's Attendant, going to draw another card with the Rites of Flourishing. We can still make 2 land drops here. And that is an Argyle's Bloodfast. So with the Sun Titan, have a few things available to us. I think Prismatic Vista might be one of the things we go for. Let's drop the Urborg straight away. That brings in the Bloodghast again. Means all of our lands are going to tap for 2 mana. They decide to go Blast Zone, so looking to destroy our Skullclamp. Oh no, they're not, they're just putting another counter on this thing. So now tap our Urborg for 2 mana. And clamp onto the Bloodghast straight away. Gets us into more really slow card draw. We're up against a really powerful deck here, and yeah, this deck is just ram full of slow card draw to take advantage of our commander. A Liliana Dreadhorde General as well. So tapping down all the planes here, we'll get in a Sun Titan. Sun Titan can go after the Prismatic Vista, which does of course trigger the Bloodghast again. And then the floating mana can go onto the Bloodghast. Just trying to get into a board wipe here if I can. Although it's a bit too late for that, I think. Alright, there's a dam. But not going to be able to afford it, unfortunately. Crack the Prismatic Vista. Allows us, we've only got 1 swamp available after this. Allows us into 2 of those. Alright, we're still trying for Toxic Deluge, apparently. Clamp onto the Bloodghast again. Alright, into a Nether Traitor. So I don't think it really matters here. We'll just go Authority of the Consuls. We'll extort our opponent. Skullclamp onto the Verrak to gain a bit more life. And then it will have to be Animate Dead onto the Solemn Simulacrum, which I think we have 1 swamp in play, did I say? Pretty sure our opponent goes wide here though. Now thanks to the Tabernacle, our opponent does have to pay a bunch of life into keeping their creatures in play, which is a small mercy to us, but like I said, I imagine they just go wide on us here anyway. Just couldn't get into the board wipe quickly enough, unfortunately. Letting a bunch of their zombies go down here. We're at 12 commander damage, keeping their Gitrog in play. Yeah, just letting all their zombies go down and paying into the Sky Shroud Ranger and the Tiller engine. Oh, I thought they'd kept their Gitrog in play, so actually allowing their Gitrog to be sacrificed. Glacial Chasm kept in play, and then during the upkeep they've tapped down a bunch of mana here. Now untapping it all, so I'm assuming that they were going after the Gitrog monster again. Drawing a bunch of cards with Sylvan Library and Rite of Replication, going down to 7 to the Sylvan Library. In comes Gitrog again, not sure why they didn't keep that in play, they only have to pay 1 mana into it. Does come into play tapped and gains us a life thanks to Authority of the Consuls. And then they look like they're doing the whole strip mine thing again. These will come into play tapped and will gain a life thanks to the Authority though. 6 cards in hand and tapping down a bunch of mana. And there we see Escape Shift, so yeah, they go down to 5 thanks to Kambal. We're going to gain a lot of life here thanks to that Field of the Dead. Sacrificing the Blast Zone is relevant. They might be able to just get all the lands back out of their graveyard and straight back into play again, depending on what's in their hand. So keeping the Glacial Chasm and Field of the Dead in play, they will be able to untap all these thanks to the Tiller engine, so 5 cards in hand, they're not done here. We see a Bojuka Bog from our opponent, which is why I wanted the Bloodghast to be in play before we passed over to our opponent. There's an Ancient Tomb. They can tap this for, I mean, everything in play is a Bayou at this point that taps for black or green thanks to the lands that are in play. Oh, actually, the Urborg has been blown up by the Strip Mine and they sacrificed their own Yavimaya, so they'll have to be careful with the Ancient Tomb. Seeing a Cloud Post and the other one, the Glimmer Post. They've got Maze of Ith in play as well. The combo Thespian Stage and Dark Depths. With the Tiller engine, they are choosing to untap all of these lands. And like I said, the enchantment doing some work for us here. We're going to near enough be at our starting life total again. Up to 38, we're at 12 commander damage. There is a bunch of zombies that were staring down here though. And they went for Noxious Revival there. What was that on? Onto the Demonic Tutor. Be amazed if they can't get a win here. Replaying the Strip Mine again. And going after our black mana. Gitrog will draw them a card every time they do that. Casting Demonic Tutor takes them down to 3, takes us up to 44. Okay, passing the turn there, they reveal their hand to us potentially. Revealing to us, an Urza will go in the bin, Elvish Rejuvenator and Nylea's Intervention will go in the bin. Now seeing Lake of the Dead, Buried Ruin and City of Traitors will come into play. And it's noteworthy, by the end of the turn the Strip Mine is in the bin, so if we actually manage to exile that at some point, that would be a blessing for us. Draw into a Lightning Greaves, which is obviously a cheap spell, so that's really good. And Austere Command is another wipe, so we just have to try and extort our opponent here. Unfortunately, the Bloodstained Mire won't tap for mana anymore. Play out the Soul's Attendant, pay 1 to extort our opponent, knocks them down to 2. Then Lightning Greaves off the 2 mana from the Swamp. And once again, pay the mana into the Extort. And then we'll go for Read the Bones here. Obviously this is risky because if they can somehow survive this, then we should have gone for the Dam, but yeah, can maybe go for the Dam anyway. Yeah, that's still not enough, so might as well be Read the Bones here. The fact that we've lost the Urborg is relevant because not all our lands are swamps now. So playing Read the Bones, we can pay into the Extort, and with only 1 card in hand they can't manage to survive it. I have the feeling that my opponent was really playing with his food there. I mean, not keeping your commander in play and then just paying a load of mana to replay it anyway. I'm not sure what the aim was there. Up against one of the most powerful decks in the format in 1v1 commander in the Gitrog monster, and this is very, very much a casual deck, so yeah, I don't think we had any business winning that one really, but managed to squeak out a victory. If you enjoyed this one, then be sure to leave it a thumbs up because that will push the video out to other potential viewers. Huge thank you to the patrons as ever. You can follow the link through to Patreon via the link in the description below if you would like. Big thanks to you if you decide to do that. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.